Well, hi, everybody, and Kathrin is here. I'm so excited. I'm going to officially start this. Let me share my screen because, yes, this topic is the 7 habits of highly effective realtors. And you just asked the question, Kathrin, what are those 7 traits and whether you exhibit those. This is what I'm going to teach. I just did this webinar for our power agents, which Kathrin, you're a power agent. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to make an announcement here that you are the superpower agent, one of the superpower agents of the month. Congratulations again for achieving that.
I'm so honored.
Yeah, well, you earned it. You contribute so much. You give back to so many people. And for those people that are watching, this is our coaching program where we have a trial where people can start at just $5. They have complete access to everything. They can cancel anytime, etc. And there's bonuses today. So what I'm going to be sharing is what we give our power agents. And this is the bonuses that everybody gets when they sign up, lab coat agents, which I'm going to go through some of these. But these 7 habits is what we found, and these 7 traits are what power agents have. And so we're going to go through what the 7 are. Now, some of the webinars that I do, as you know, Kathrin, I go wide where I cover a lot of different things, or I'll go really deep on one topic. Like if I were teaching how to call FSBOs, that would be deep on just FSBOs, or how to do the listing appointment. So this topic, we're going wide because I'm going to cover the 7 and teach a little item in each one of the 7. So here we're going to get started. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second, Darryl. I just want to say something real quick. So I recently became a power agent because Darryl and I were friends, and I really admire him a lot. I watched one of his webinars once on Redex, and I was really impressed by the way he does business, different from other coaches that I've heard. And I think he approaches scripts in a very, very different way than I've ever heard before. I think it comes because he used to be an actor. I used to be an actor. So I think naturally we clicked, although he didn't know me back then. I just watched the webinar and I'm like, I click with this guy. And now I'm a power agent. And I can only tell you that a lot of you are looking for coaching and for something that is affordable and provides a lot of value. You really can't go wrong with Darryl's program because it's so affordable and it's an amazing value. So I would encourage you to really sign up for it.
I've got to say, now that you gave the kudos like you did, I'm going to give you a kudo. But listen, everybody watching, this is not just to like make Kathrin feel good. This is a teaching moment, what I'm about to say. Okay. Kathrin, you are, for people that don't know, in the state of Florida, where do you stand as far as production level?
I'm sorry,
for your company? I said, for, in the state where your production level, where are you at with your company or with the state of Florida? What's your kudos?
Well, with KW, it was in 2019 and 2018, the #1 in Florida as a solo agent. And this year so far, I'm at 40 million in closed and pending sales.
Now, the reason why I wanted people to hear that, for people who don't know you, you also, one of the traits that you exhibit, because sometimes some agents who are not at that level, but aspire to be that, they think, oh, they're not nice people, they're snooty, whatever. You're very, very giving. You take time to make a difference with other agents. You've inspired many of the fellow power agents. You're investing in real estate. You're just a good human being. You do not let the production go to your head, and you participate. You love your family. You got beautiful kids. You make the time for your husband. You're kind of perfect, which is annoying sometimes. So anyway, I just want that to be an inspiration to others. You can have your cake and eat it too, and even have a slice of pizza on the side. Okay, with that said, we're going to go through the 7 habits. And here's why everybody, if you're not taking notes, you need to take notes and take them down now, because I'm going through this, a fire hose.
Yep.
Number 1, fire hose of content. Number 1 is you got to know your value. You got to know your worth. You know, I know that's true about you, Kathrin. You see, you exhibit all these 7. You feel confident that you bring what you bring to the table. So let me talk to the people who maybe don't feel the same way. Some agents, you know, communication is like an iceberg. Listen, this is another teacher moment here. An iceberg, when you look at an iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, which is above the ocean surface, that only represents 10% of the whole iceberg. The other 90% that you don't see below the surface, that's where most communication is. So you can have the right words on a listing appointment, but if you don't feel that confident level, it's going to come out. People are going to pick up on that. So here's what I want to say to everybody is that you should be proud. If you're a realtor, you'd be proud of that fact, because the fact that you are that and the fact that you are licensed by your state, that says something about you. You already know more about real estate than any civilian, which is what I call buyers and sellers. I'm going to show you something. I Googled this about realtors. Look at this, Kathrin. Practicing real estate. Anytime you act on someone else's behalf when you're buying or selling real estate in order to receive a fee, commission, or any other type of compensation, you are engaging in the practice of real estate. To do this legally, you must properly be licensed. If you're not licensed, you're committing a crime. Now, I want everybody to get that anybody that says that they can do what you do, but they're not licensed, they are breaking the law. That's how important your license is and who you are, what you bring to the table. There's a reason why we can make as much money as an attorney or as a doctor, because there is much more to this thing of real estate than just putting a for sale sign on the front lawn and showing a house to a bunch of buyers. So you've got to know that you're valuable, you provide worth. Part of your job is to help people through the maze of real estate. There's so many intricacies of this business. So what I want you to have in your heart, not just in your head, that you are valuable. Let's use a term. You are an essential worker, for crying out loud. You help people get to their next level in their life. One of the things that we gave our students, I know you know this, Kathrin, my company, we created this guide to give to civilians, 184 things that an agent does to earn their commission. It's an actual guide that agents can customize and give out. I suggest for those of you that are not power agents that you should sit down and write out, what do you do? What do you bring to the table? How do you help buyers and sellers? Make a list like we did for our students. And I guarantee you'll be shocked. Some of us don't realize all that we do. Plus, it'll give you a level of confidence. By the way, if anybody becomes a power agent, you actually get that guide that as one of the bonuses for the $5. So, you know, for that alone is probably worth it. But no matter what, take the time to look at what you do. Here's something else. Whether you're a power agent or not, this is the philosophy, as Kathrin says, that we try and bring to the table for our students. And you know what? I would love every agent to think this way, power agent or not. And that is, power agents coach, we don't close people. Power agents serve, we don't sell. See, there's a misconception. The reason why people don't like to work with agents is because they look at us as salespeople. What I want us to do is to change the perception of real estate professionals that we're not salespeople. We don't sell people, we serve people. A job of a real estate agent is to find out what somebody's committed to accomplishing and coach them and educate them so that way they can make an informed, educated decision. And we're there to hold their hands through the maze of real estate. Am I right, Kathrin?
Yes, absolutely.
See, I know you're a perfect example, the epitome of what a power agent is. Because that's what you do. You coach people, you serve people. You don't sell people, you don't close people, you don't technique people. You don't look to take from them, you give. And here's what I believe. Money is a gauge as to how many lives we've touched. You help a lot of people, you help a lot of lives, the money follows. The money's a gauge, that's all it is, as to how many people you've served. Think this way. So one of the habits of highly effective agents is they know their worth. They know what they bring to the table for people, and that is to serve. The second thing, in my opinion, and training agents, listen, I've been in this business for over 30 years. I don't really like to say how long, but I will tell you, I dye my hair. That's all I'm going to say. This is a dyed thing over here. So I've been in this business a long time, either as an agent, a manager, broker, trainer, coach. And this was what I found. These are the 7 traits that all successful agents have. The second thing is they focus on building a business, not sales, business, being a business person. And part of being a business person is building that listing inventory. How many listings you got right now, Kathrin?
I think we have right now only 11.
Yeah, you're slacking.
Yep, majorly.
Now listen, 11, you probably have, you're in Miami, right? 11, you probably have 50% of the houses listed with you in Miami. We know inventory is low, so it's all relative. But hey, you got, let me ask you, what's the dollar volume on that 11?
Oh God, you caught me.
I'm sorry. That was not a fair question. You probably got $1 million here, to 10 million.
10,
Give me a rough
10
number.
million, maybe. I couldn't tell you. I have to calculate.
All right, that's fine. So you got at least $10 million in inventory. That's that's important. That's what people have to understand. That's building a business. See, one of our students, Jonathan, he said, I love this program. It helps my mindset and staying focused. It really helped me turn my focus on building inventory. You know, Kathrin, listings are the name of the game. You need to list the less. It's always been the truth. Even in this hot sellers market where inventory is hard to get by, there's no doubt about it. But just think about what it's like when you don't have inventory. See,
also, when you have the listing, you control the commission. Very important. I just got a complaint on my last closing because the buyer's agent made less than me. But I'm the listing agent. I control the commission, and my seller is fine with it because I have to spend right now more time on getting more time and money to get listings. So I felt I deserved more on the listing side.
Kathrin, let's talk about this for a minute. I'm so proud of you. First of all, every agent watching this, don't you complain about the selling broker's commission. This is how selling brokers commissions work. It's a marketing tool. See, when Kathrin gets a listing, any agent gets a listing, that's their listing. They're giving you the right, the gift to show their inventory, but it's their inventory. Now, as a listing agent, which Kathrin, you said it very accurately, is harder to get listings in today's market. They're easy to sell, no doubt about it, but harder to get. So if it's easy to sell and hard to get, who should get paid more?
The listing agent. And if you as the buyer's agent, if you want to get your 3%, you better put your buyer on a buyer's agreement. I get always paid my 3%, even if the cooperating commission is only 2%.
Do you hear this, gang? This is talk from a wise woman coming down from the mountain. She's saying it correctly. If you want to get, first of all, listen, this is not part of the webinar. I'm going to run out of time, but you've inspired me to give this extra content. I love this, what you're saying over here, Kathrin. When you're working with a buyer, there's a distinction. I think I say this later in the webinar. There's a distinction between a customer and a client. A customer is like when a customer goes to buy shoes, they go into a store, they're a customer. But a client, you treat them differently. So when a buyer comes to you, they're either coming to you as a customer or as a client. If they're a client where they sign a buyer agency agreement, like Kathrin just said, you can tell them, this is how I need to get paid. I need a minimum of X amount of dollars. So if this listing agent is paying me less, you've got to cover the difference. Otherwise, I can't work exclusively with you. Am I right, Kathrin?
Yes.
Now, but let's go back to the whole commission thing. Ladies and gentlemen, the selling broker's commission is a marketing tool. There is no rule, law, or whatever, and we shouldn't have an expectation that immediately whatever listing agent gets, they should just give half to the selling broker. That's not how it works. So if I get a commission, whatever the number is, I'm just going to pick as an example 5. If I've got a listing that is going to sell because I sneeze, meaning it's going to sell quickly, I may only pay out 1% and I keep 4. But if I have a listing that's really high, it's in a bed, and I need more market, I need more help from agents, maybe I'm going to pay out more than 2.5, maybe 3.5, and I'll take 2.5. The point here, gang, the selling broker's commission is a marketing tool. The listing agent decides, and then as a selling agent, you decide when you look at that listing and you see what the selling broker's commission is, you make the decision if you want to show that property or not to your clients. Anyway, let's talk about.
You can't really pick that if you have to show it. Otherwise,
Well, that's right. You do have to show. You're right. I stand corrected on that one. I'm sorry. But the point here is you decide as a listing agent what you want to put out, but you're absolutely right. Now, going back to this building inventory. If you had a shoe store, you need to have shoes. Like you just said, boy, I only got 11 listings. Like if you have no listings, you've got an empty shoe store. And that's why it's so important as agents, we focus on building our listing inventory. One of the things that I suggest you guys do is have a chart that you focus on your inventory. Like you knew right away, Kathrin, you have 11 listings. You want to track your inventory. This is a good inspiration for you as an agent to say, I want to not just get listings, but I want to keep trying to build my inventory. Like Kathrin might say, you know what, I've only got 11 listings right now. I want to get it up to 12. If you focus on inventory, obviously she only needs to get one in the next 30 days. But if during that 30-day period, one of those 11 sold, she actually needs to get two to restock that one that sold plus one more. So we're talking, gang, not about getting listings, but building inventory. Keep growing that inventory. Cash flow, when you have inventory, creates cash flow. I'm sure, Kathrin, you know your business is going to generate X amount of dollars each and every month, or at least quarterly. You have a sense based on your buyers you're working, based on your plan, based on your available inventory that you have. Am I right?
Yes, correct. I look at those numbers on a weekly or bi-weekly base. And if I have less cash flow than I need, then it really bothers me and I need to make a change.
See, that's managing a business. That's how you've got to think. Think like a business person. You know, you buy investment properties too. I know you've been doing that quite a bit. And the same concept, you look at every house, just, all right, what is it going to cost me in mortgage, principal, insurance, vacancy rate, et cetera? What's the rent going to be? There's my positive cash flow, plus the tax benefits, the writer. You have a bit, you run your business like a business. Agents need to think the same way. When you have inventory, you can manage your business cash flow. Cash flow is the blood for any business. They'll tell you. Sometimes a business, they have a situation. I'm not talking about real estate. I'm talking in general. They may have more expenses in a month than money coming in. But if the money coming in is a consistent number, they can do Peter to pay Paul. It's not a good, you don't want to run a business that way, but you can keep a business alive as long as you know that you have that constant money coming in each and every month or quarter. And that's the power of having inventory. You had said something about, you know, the listing agent controls the listing, controls the commission, but they also control the scenario. Like I just found this funny picture. Like this is what in some markets, Kathrin, it feels like when there's multiple offers on a house. These would be all the agents, right? But the agent that wins out is the listing agent, no matter what happens. And that's why that is so key, that we got to keep focusing on building that inventory, building a business that's based on inventory. Here's the third thing. By the way, how are we doing, Kathrin? Anything you want to add so far? I love this.
No, I love everything.
Okay.
You need to know your numbers when you want to build a business. That's all I have to say.
Do you ever watch that show, Kathrin, called The Prophet?
The Prophet.
The Prophet. Marcus Lemons. You don't watch TV much because you're never home. This you're always working. I know. And by the way, I just love you, Kathy. See, I could talk about you all the time because if people just knew your story and some of your challenges, like your energy level, you've got these moments, you've got challenges, and you're still able to do what you do. Just you inspire me. You really do.
Thank you. You inspire me too.
All right. So it's a love fest here, gang. All right. So the prophet, Kathrin, Marcus Lemons. It's a show. You should watch it. It's a great show. You can watch on reruns. One show, you'll be hooked. Okay. Number 3 is they know how to generate now business. So now when you get to a level like where you're at, Kathrin, it's not too hard to generate now business. You'll have people come to you, friends referrals, because you know you do a good job. So you get business that way. And if you were to reach out, probably people in Miami know your name. So it makes it easy for you to reach out. You ever go on a listing appointment and say, I don't know if you've ever heard of me or seen any of my signs. I'm sure a homeowner would say, oh no, I see you all over the place. So there's a value that you get when you're at the level that you're at. Some of the people watching right now are not at that level. They're still at the early stages of building their business. And for those folks, you want to get good at generating now business. One of my strengths, the last class that we do, I used to do every year, but because of the pandemic, we couldn't do a live event. So we're looking at doing the next one coming up pretty soon. But in any event, it's at the live events that I always do, Kathrin. And you've got to see this. I actually call FSBOs live from the stage. So I have the audience bring FSBOs and I randomly call from the stage because I'm good at calling FSBO. I can call 4 FSBOs. I'll schedule 3 appointments.
You're very good at it. I know that. That's why you caught my attention.
Well, you see, the cool thing about this, having that ability, I was talking to, so today we had our power agent call a couple of hours ago, and I was talking to the power agents about being a chef of real estate. When you get really good at real estate, become like a chef in cooking. When you become really good at cooking, you become a chef. Chefs create their own recipes. Like you can throw a chef in a kitchen with some pans and tools and just some food, and they'll look at what's there, and bada bing, they'll create a magical. That's a chef. What's great about, I love that if you drop me anywhere in the middle of the United States with nothing but my cell phone and a list of FSBOs, I'll make 6 figures. That's the power when you know how to generate appointments now business. So let me go through some of that. I'm going to skip the testimony because we're running out of time. Here's some now business ideas. FSBOs, expireds, houses for rent. There's people that are bleeding money because they got this house, they're making a mortgage payment, they're a part-time investor, they don't have the cash flow to sustain vacancy rates. Old FSBOs, old expired, these are not senior citizens. Those are people that tried selling maybe a year ago and they took their house off the market. So those are the best, in my opinion, now business, because what do we know about these people? They want to sell now. You can get in that door, have a powerful conversation. The do not call registry. I do have to say this. To me, it seems like it's gotten more of a political thing, Kathrin. But, there's some people that are told after a FSBO, you can't call them if they're on the do not call list. It's not true. It's not accurate because the do not call list says you can't make unsolicited calls. These are solicited. The FSBO is soliciting calls and saying, hey, I'm selling my house, call me. So you got homeowners asking for calls. Doesn't apply. So you can call FSBOs. Now, if the broker says not to, then you can't. Here's the 2 things you need to get good at now business. I said this at fire hose, so I hope everybody's staying with me. Number 1 is you got to have a good file system. You got to be organized. If you're not organized, you're it's everything that makes you disorganized is a speed bump to actually doing the thing you don't want to do. See, Kathrin, there's a lot of agents who are trying to build a business. They're afraid of the phone. They don't want to call. So if they've got to find FSBOs and do all the research, it's draining. And by the time they get on the phone, they're ready to make their calls. They have no mental, emotional ability to make it because they're exhausted. So have a good file system, be organized. I know one of the lab coats vendors I love this company called Redex. Anybody that's not familiar with Redex, lab coat. Sandra, are you still with us? Is there a place for lab coat people in Redex? And do we have a link or something like that we can put in the chat? Or Jake, or they figure Kathrin's hosting this. We don't need to be on the call. She's got it covered. Hey, Julie, are you with me?
I am. Sandra's going to put the link in the chat.
Yes, good. So everybody, she's putting the link in the chat. This Redex, great company. I highly recommend it. We push it with all our power agents. It's the best system to stay organized. There's a little bit of money involved, but it's good.
It's amazing.
Now, it is amazing. Yes?
Yes.
I love Redex. Because what it does, I just got to tell everybody just real quick. When you see, let me, those of you that don't like to call, if you came into the office and I said, here's a list of FSBOs, what do you have to, I already checked them, I reversed them, I did all the work. All you have to do is call. And that's what Redex does. It gives it to you on a silver platter. This is one of the things that we gave our power agents to help them stay focused on making their calls. It's it's simple that everybody watching this can create this. It's an Excel spread. Say, here's how many calls, how many conversations, how many appointments I got. It's a way to help assess your abilities. If you make 10 calls and you only have one conversation, well, how come that is? If you had 10 conversations and only got one appointment, why is that? So it helps you pay attention of where your strengths and weaknesses are. So that's what that is. Here's the second thing. You've got to have good dialogue, as you know, Kathrin. And the dialogue that we teach when it's a listing appointment is different on the phone, because with the phone, you need to have good dialogue. Now, this is going to sound like an oxymoron. You want to know the dialogue so well so you don't have to use the dialogue. See, as a fellow actor, you know, Kathrin, is that when you have the dialogue and it's a part of you, then you can start to, if you had to, invent your own. If something gets thrown, you improv, you do what you think on your feet. So you don't want to get on the phone and be like this, because now you're not really being present. So you want to know it so that way you can talk from your heart.
And the one thing that I've learned from you is, and I've been doing this, but I realized a lot of other agents that don't have this acting background that we have, they don't do that actively. It's more important to listen than to talk.
Absolutely. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should communicate in that proportion. A lot of listing happens in the listening. And it's hard for agents who are not chefs, not power agents of real estate, to really listen, because they're in their head trying to remember what they're supposed to say when the other person's done talking. So they're not being present to the moment. So very good point, Kathrin. Anyway, so we got a bunch of dialogues, but for the lab coat people, by the way, that website's at the bottom there. Julie, can you put the website in the chat and in the Facebook too? Somebody, the darrylspeaks.com/trial, because the dialogue for calling FSBOs and expire, our magic dialogue is part of the bonuses that people get for the $5. So that's what they can do. All right. So power agents are very successful realtors. Number one, know their worth. Number two, they focus on building their listing inventory, building a business, knowing their numbers, as you said, Kathrin. Number three is they know how to generate now business. Get on the phone and generate those appointments. And by the way, there's not just FSBOs or expireds. There's other ways to do too. There's calling past clients, but that's not now business. Like if you're calling people to follow up past friends or families, you're shaking the trees. That's not the same as, like, if you call 5 FSBOs, guess what? All 5 they want to sell. We know this. Same thing with an expired. So the quality is better. That's the now business. Future business I'm going to talk about now is planting seeds. You have to be a farmer, right, Kathrin? You're a good farmer. You're out there. You're connecting with people. You're smiling. People get, Kathrin, I'm right. So now here's what a farmer thinks. And this is what I want everybody to think that's watching this. You got to trust in the process. See, some of us, we get to, when a farmer goes out into the field and they plant a seed. Now I'm from New York, so I don't really know about farming. I'm just pretending. I've watched some television shows. When you farm, you go out into the field and you plant your seed and you cover it, you water it. Now the farmer, when they go back into the house, they don't worry and say, oh, geez, I hope that's going to work. They know, they trust that it's going to produce a crop over time, as long as the farmer does their job. And what's their job? Planting the seed, taking care of it each and every day. The universe does its part, the sun does its part, and eventually it produces a crop. That's how you've got to think about your real estate business. When you're building connections and planting seeds, you've got to trust it. As long as you're doing it every day, here's some future business ideas. Doing monthly mailings. You got to, as long as you're consistent with doing that, eventually it produces something. Specific mailings. Like if you have a buyer who's looking to buy in your market, in your neighborhood, make sure that you can do a mailing on just that or phone calls on that. Door knocking. We call them smile stops, where you drop by and you make them smile and build a relationship and connection. That's with the smile stops, with the door knocking. Social media posting, community specific, Facebook groups. I love this community. Let me say something. Kathrin, do you do this? You may not do this, but do you belong to a Miami homes for sale, like where civilians are in that community, and or is a gated Facebook group? Do you belong to any of those?
Well, I have a few Facebook groups. They could be better and could have more members, but I have a mom's group and I have some groups and pages for specific communities.
This is what I'm talking about. So now these are groups that you created. And for everybody watching, it's possible there could also be a group already in Facebook that the community has created, and they post, garage sales and, hey, I need a landscaper. You should be participating, everybody, in those community groups, because it's like digital farming. This is what I love about Facebook closed groups. It's like a farm area, but it's digital. There's no postage. There's no mailings. You just sit there and you help people. That's the important part. Don't go in there and say, hey, I'm selling a house, because they're going to not like you. If you're helping people, serving people, and every so often you post about a house is a good thing. Past clients, orphans. I'm not talking about kids without parents. I'm talking about people who bought or sold a house through your company, and that agent who did that sale is no longer working for your company. That's an orphan. You should be contacting those, calling them, doing a mailing. Listen, I'm not a fan of this until this market. So, Kath, I told you, I've been in this business for over 30 years. And one of the old dialogues was to call somebody and say, the reason I'm calling because I have a buyer. I'd like to see your house. Like calling a physical saying, I have a buyer. And that's really weak dialogue, except in this market. This market, we know that there are buyers that want to buy, like for you, Kathrin, in Miami, there might be a building or two that they want to get into no matter what, and there's nothing for sale. In that case, if you had the time, you may call everybody in that building, say, I do have a buyer. They're committed to buying in this building. Have you heard of anybody? So that is now a valuable source of generating leads. One of the things I also suggest that you guys do in planting seeds future business is think quarterly. If you were going to do something quarterly in the first, second, and third, this is what we gave our power agents at the beginning of the year. Let me give you an example, because we give this to, Kathrin, our power program is loaded. We have over, I think, 600 forms, flyers, checklists. Everything can be customized for the agents in addition to the training. But here's what we gave. It's coming up now. I know it's July, but it's around the corner. And that is, we teach this thing called trunk or treat. I love this trunk or treat thing. How old are your kids, Kathrin?
7 and 12.
7 and 12. Now, listen, I have a son. He's 20 some odd thing now. He's 23. But,
Wow.
yeah. I told you, I color the hair. Anyway, so my son, when we used to go trick or treating, I get a costume. One of the days I did, I don't know why I was thinking of this, a Darth Vader. It was hot.
I can't imagine you with a Darth Vader.
Listen, Kathrin, I'm such a nut. You know what I did with this Darth Vader thing? I bought one of those voice changes and I hit it in the helmet and I pressed the button. So when I talked, I sounded like Darth Vader. I am your son. It was, anyway, what the heck was the point? I forgot I'm working here. I'm supposed to be teaching. Oh, so I learned just a couple of years ago about this concept called trunk or treat, not trick or treat, trunk. Have you heard of this, Kathrin?
Yeah, I think when you decorate the trunk of your car, right?
I never heard of this. I thought I'd been around. I heard everything. So I figured if I never heard of it, there's got to be some other guys and gals out there. So we started teaching about this trunk or treat because I love this idea, what you do. Can you imagine everybody watching your farm area? You promote and say, hey, listen, we're going to do, instead of door to door, we're going to have a trunk or treat. We're going to meet in the parking lot and we're going to decorate we're going to have a contest to see who decorates. I mean, you make a whole big event of this. And what's great about this, the kids, they're safe. They're in a parking lot. Most importantly, who else is in the parking lot, all dressed up and ready to, the neighbors. So now you're going as a realtor who put this event together. You're meeting all the neighbors in your farm area. Kathrin, we love this so much. We created a trunk or treat planning guide for power agents that has the promotional flyers, that has the dialogue, that gives you the checklist and the whole thing. Now, listen, this was such a success. when I taught this last year, Tristan loved this. So then what we did is we said, what if we created a trunk or treat concept for other holidays? So then my team, Kathrin, my team, I love my people because I say something and then all of a sudden they created this whole party planning guide for power agents that no matter what the holiday is, for example, it could be 4th of July, New Year's Eve, if you want to have a party event for your clients or for your farm area, here's the checklist, here's the system, the whole night. Isn't this great?
Wow.
I'm telling you, I got an
Yet. I haven't seen that yet. Julie has to show me how to
Julie,
get to.
we're gonna just send it to you,
I'm on it.
Kathrin. Julie, you just send Kathrin the party planning guide to make it
That's
easy for her.
amazing.
Yeah, all
I
right.
see her
good.
doing a movie night. I think Kathrin would do an amazing movie night.
I did one actually, like 2 years ago. We did Lion King. It was pretty successful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How did you do it? Did you do it out? Was it in a movie theater or did you do it in a parking lot or what?
No, it was in a movie theater. And I also
Okay.
did I threw in my daughter's birthday party at the same time. So I'm like, okay, it's a text deduction.
See, there's Kathrin being number 2, focus on the business side and the family at this. She wrote off her kid's birthday party as a business expense. I love it. Brilliant. Brilliant. All right, using stories, metaphors, analogies. You said that too, Kathrin. You love that we teach that. And listen, let me tell you something, gang. The power of metaphors and analogies. Listen, I haven't said this in a while. Listen, everybody, listen to me. If you want to know how to do a listing appointment without a memorized script, this is the answer. When you think of great motivational speakers, who comes to mind? Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, friend of mine. When you watch these motivational speakers, I'm not talking about real estate trainers. I'm talking about the motivational people. Tony Robbins, he's a transformational, he's his own category. If you ever watch Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, you know what these guys do? They stand in front of you. They tell you story after story after story. They're storytellers. And that's the power. When you hear a story, metaphor, analogy, you're talking to people's heart, not just their head. And so what power agents know is don't memorize scripts. When it comes to listing appointments, the telephone's different because that's 7 minutes. But other than that, when you're face to face, you want to have stories, metaphors, analogies to handle sellers' objections. So that's one category. And the second category is when you're talking about marketing tools, when you talk about public open house, use a metaphor to explain it. Public open house, yard sign, lockbox, whatever it is, you always explain it with a metaphor analogy. I'll give you some on the objection side. These are examples. If they say we can save the commission, because we've gotten that. I don't need a realtor. I can do this myself. I love this when they say this, Kathrin. I don't need a realtor. I've sold stuff before. I can do what you do. Here's what you say to them. This is a story for sale by owners can be a hard sell. USA Today came with this article. You've seen me do this article before because I love this article. They found, USA Today, when they did a study, they found that FSBOs that sell their own house, this is the average sales price, $137,400. This goes back a few years, but it's still valid, the concept. The agents who sold homes that were the listing agents to those neighbors, the average sales price was 175. If you do the math, that means we sell houses for 21.49% higher than the for sale by owner. Now, NAR did a study on their own. I think theirs came out to 17%, which was actually less, but it's still double digits compared to what we ask a homeowner to pay when we're listing the property. I love this one. Have you seen this one, Kathrin? This guy for salebyowner.com?
No, I have not.
Okay, listen, this is awesome. This guy, he is the CEO for salebyowner.com. He creates this site. Now, this was the first site to sell it on your own. So he's considered the godfather of FSBOs, right? So he creates this website and he says, look, why would you list with an agent? Because let's say you have a $2 million property. Why the heck would you pay them $105,000? More, think of what you can do at the bottom. Do you see it at the bottom? You can have a college fund, house remodel, wedding fund. Why would you? Okay, look at this, Kathrin. Wall Street Journal comes out. The founder, former CEO for Salebyowner, Colby Sambrato, tried selling his 2,000 condominium on his own. But after 6 months, I'm jumping around. He hires a real estate broker. He pays, you see it in yellow there? The guy that advertises on that site, he pays a 6% commission. He got multiple offers, but he paid $129,000. So, but over here, let me go back. Over here, he's saying, why would you pay 105? He paid 129. So if the for sale by owner CEO himself is paying a 6% commission, as a homeowner, you should think maybe FSBO is not such a good idea.
I love this. Can I have those 2 slides?
Kathrin, you're a power agent. You get a copy of all of this stuff. As a matter of fact, this is all in the site for you. You see, some of our power agents like Kathrin, oh, geez, I didn't know where it is all it. There's so much in this program for you. Kathrin, because you're a superpower agent, we love you. I'm gonna email you my slides, all right? So when we're done,
so I don't have to search for it, right?
So you don't have to search for it because you don't have time, darling. You're too busy. We'll take care of you.
Thank you.
This guy, this is another one, Kathrin. This guy, this is the CEO, Biona.com. He said, why would you pay a realtor? But meanwhile, he's got the Realtor.com site, which is kind of funny that he's saying you don't need a realtor, but yet he's using Realtor. But let me show you his guy. This guy, same thing, same concept. He owns this St. Pete's Beach, because it's in Florida. St. Petersburg Beach. Am I saying it right? St. Peter or St. Petersburg?
St. Pete Beach or St. Petersburg?
It's both. You're right. It's St. Petersburg Beach. Okay. The Biona guy, he hires a realtor for $3.78 million. He lists with a Coldwell Banker agent. So now you've got these 2 CEOs of these for sale by owner sites, and they won't even sell it on their own. Hello. Being a FSBO is a bad idea. These smart millionaires, they know the deal. Okay, our attorney will help us. I don't need a realtor. I got an attorney. My attorney will watch the metaphor analogy. I know you're going to like this, Kathrin. Or sometimes I say I can do it myself. You can do the same thing. If you look at this, this is a Broadway show, Aladdin. I'm very excited, Kathrin, by the way. Broadway has opened up. And I'm going to see Hamilton and Aladdin this year. I'm very excited.
Oh, nice.
Yes, I haven't seen either show. Anyway, Hamilton, if you look at Aladdin here, you've got all these people involved in producing this end result. Everybody looking at the screen, you've got the actors, you've got the lighting design department, the set design, costume design, makeup design, Now watch this. All of these departments every day in rehearsal talks to one person. And who is that one person? The director. Can you put a show together like this without a director? No. If you did, it would bomb. The director is the glue that keeps the show together. Am I correct, Kathrin?
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Hana, real estate transaction, you have the exact same thing. So you've got you, and then you've got the buyers. Then you've got the appraiser and the engineer and the title company and the sellers. You said you've got an attorney. So let's say you've got your attorney. Let's say the buyers have their attorney, and then you have the home inspect. And you've got, of course, the bank rep. Now, here's what's interesting, Mr. and Mrs. Hana. You as the homeowner would only talk to the buyers and to your attorney. You would never talk to the appraiser, never talk to the engineer, never talk to the buyer's attorney. Now watch this, your attorney that you said is going to do this for you. Well, hello, they only talk to the other attorney and to you. They don't talk to the buyers. They don't talk to the appraiser. They don't talk to the engineer. You've got all these people not talking to one another. And the scary thing is any one of them has the power to kill the transaction. There's only one person that everybody talks to, and that's me, the real estate professional. You trying to sell a house without a realtor is like trying to put a show together without a director. It's going to bomb. Listen, if selling a house was as simple as putting an ad out in the paper or online, you wouldn't have to be licensed by the state. Therefore, there must be more behind the curtains that goes into producing this end result that you don't even realize. Am I right, Kathrin?
Correct.
Now, here's the point, gang. The point is that's a metaphor. And the other point is, can you all do the director's technique? Yeah, probably. And guess what? Here's the best part. You didn't have to memorize a script. That's why I love metaphors and analogies. One of my other metaphors is show a homeowner selling a house. This is like a Monopoly board. If you look at it, selling the house, there's just the staging, like homeowners just look at those pieces on the board. But if realtors didn't provide some kind of value, we wouldn't be in business because there's all these other pieces to get to the end of the game here. So that's what my job is to help you complete this transaction. There's an expression that attorneys, whoever, they would never hire themselves, right? If they did, they had a fool for a client. There's a reason why, because when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the frame. You need to be outside of yourself. You have so many buyers. We have so many buyers. Here's another one. I just got so much material here. It's the fire hose. How are we doing? Good, Kathrin?
Yeah, very good.
All right. So when the homeowner says, I have buyers, I don't need an agent, it's not the same buyers that we have. Like if you were going to buy a couch, where would you go, Kathrin? What store would you go to in Miami?
I like City Furniture. Just
City Furniture? Because why?
Because they have good service.
They have good service. How's the quality there?
House. Good.
Good
No
quality.
complaint.
So here's what I would say. I would tell any agent to use a company that you are familiar with in your market. Like I like to use Ethan Allen. If you go into Ethan Allen, you know you're spending top dollar. You know that, but it's okay because you know it's a company you can trust. It's a good quality couch. If you think about it, why would anybody buy a used, dirty, stinky couch from eBay? You know, you don't know if it's the colors are going to match. You don't know if you can trust the sellers. It's a used couch. You don't know what it's been used for. So the only reason why somebody buys or goes to eBay is because they're looking for a discount. You say to a homeowner, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, anybody that walks into my office, they know they're paying top dollar. Why? Because every house I show them has a commission built into the price. So buyers know that I work with, they're paying top dollar. But they care more about getting good service from a company they can trust. In other words, the buyers you have are not the same type of buyers. You have the eBay buyers coming to you as a for sale by owner, where I get the eBay buyers. They're different quality buyers. Bring us a buyer, we'll pay you a commission. I think we're coming to the end of these examples, and then we'll go on to the next thing I want to teach. If let's say a homeowner says, bring me a buyer and I'll pay you a fee. Here's the problem with that concept. Let's pretend Mr. and Mrs. Hana, you have a daughter and they're going to get married. So you want to have a beautiful wedding cake. So you go to 6 different bakers and you say, listen, I want every one of you to bake me a cake for 100 guests. Now, whichever one of you does the best job, that's the cake I'm going to buy. Here's my question. How many of these 6 bakers are going to roll up their sleeves, start baking a cake? 0. Reason being is you haven't committed to one baker to roll up their sleeves, spend their money and time to produce a result. When you say to agents, bring me a buyer and that's the one I'm going to pay a commission to, you don't have any one agent rolling up their sleeves, spending their money, their time and energy to get you the highest possible price. So this is why you need to commit. All right, we're going to skip. So there's so many different objections. So here's the point. I want to make a teaching moment here, Kathrin, for everybody. When you look at this, what's on the screen, our house is nicer. We did all these improvements. We can always come down later. We need the money because of what we owe. But these are common objections that we all know as real estate professionals. When we go into a listing appointment, it's possible that one of these could come up. Therefore, you must be prepared. So if it should come up, you know what to say. It's kind of like my son. When he was young, Kathrin, does your kids play any of those games, those like Xbox or PlayStation, any of those games?
Yeah, they do.
Right. My son, he was what was that game? It's Warfare. I forget. It's an army game. I forget it now because he's in his 20s, but it was one of those war games. And my son was trying to teach it to me, right? So I'm sitting there next to him like an old fart, trying to figure out how to get my fingers to move quick enough. And he says to me, Kathrin, Daddy, be careful. There's a guy around the corner. Now I had an aha. My son, Mortal Kombat. No, that's not it. Doesn't matter. My son, he knew the game, Kathrin, so well. He knew the guy was around the corner without even me seeing it, but he was prepared for it. That's what real estate is the objections are like the guy around the corner. You've got to be prepared if it comes out to handle it, which, by the way, I just used an analogy to teach the importance of having analogies on a listing appointment. Okay, so let's marketing tools, same thing. You've got to have metaphors and analogies for all the different marketing tools we have. I want to leave time for questions, so that's why I'm trying to get to the end here. Here's the listing appointment. we're going to skip over this. Okay, now that's number 5. Number 6, they know how to put deals together. So one of the traits of highly successful realtors is they know how to put transactions together. Am I right, Kathrin?
Yes.
Now, do you recognize this woman, Kathrin? You should, because she thinks you're her hero.
Aw.
Because this is what happened. You and I did an interview for the Power Agents, and Vicky Yates said, boy, after Kathrin, like I'm serious, Kathrin, you inspire this woman.
Aw.
And yeah, because of that interview that we did, she said, I will never work with a buyer again without a buyer agency. She's been struggling, but then all of a sudden after that, she's been really kicking butt. So anyway, you should know that. I said this, yes.
Happy.
Yeah, you should be very proud. There is a difference between working with a client and a customer. I said that already. And part of being, it's interesting when you think about if you were going to go buy a car, you go to an Audi dealer and say, you know what, I want to buy a car. What does the salesperson do? The salesperson says, all right, here's my inventory. Let me show you what I got. Now, if you don't like any of the inventory that the Audi dealer has, can you imagine if the salesperson said to you, Kathrin, okay, well, if you don't like one of these inventory, let me get in my car and let me go bring you to a Ford dealership. Let me see if I can sell you a Ford. Or, okay, you don't like that? Let me drive you over to Honda. And while we're at it, let me drive you over to Toyota. And just for good measure, no salesperson does that. No salesperson drives a buyer, bringing them to dealership to dealership and dealership. Because we're customers. If we don't buy one of their inventory, we leave the store and go to another store. But in real estate, for some reason, Kathrin, we do that. A buyer comes to us and say, I want to buy a house. And we don't ask them to hire us as a client. They're a customer. And we take them and show them house from house to house. And then they buy from somebody else and you don't get paid. So gang, here's what I'm trying to say is it's really important, especially in this market, that when you meet a buyer, you want to turn them from customer to a client, that they hire you to be their rep. Am I on target here, Kathrin?
Exactly. You're their fighter. You fight for them and negotiate for them.
When you think about it, what you just said is very powerful, because here's how it should be in real estate. When a buyer hires you as your client, as you're their agent and they're the client now, you fight to get them the house. If they don't hire you, you should be fighting for the seller because you're representing the seller in that scenario. Here's something else as well. When you're taking a buyer out, there's 2 ways to work with buyers. You can either take one buyer and you show them 10 houses, or you take one house and you show it 10 times. The product that we sell is real estate, and the best way to do it is you take one house and you show it 10 times. Less stress, income higher, work the house, not the buyer. That's a Power Agent philosophy. The product that we sell is real estate, and we should take that house and call the buyers to sell it, to work that house to sell it. That's the best way. Here's the second thing is learn how to present your own offers. Now, I don't have time to teach this. I probably shouldn't even put this on here, Kathrin, but one of the things when we're seeing multiple offers, the agents who are not succeeding with that, it's because they don't know if their offer is getting presented the way they would present it or at all. And there is a way where legally the listing agent really should and allow that selling agent to present their own offers. There's a gift that people are getting today. If they decide to become a Power Agent at $5, they can get that report that explains how to get their own offer presented. So anyway, here's the last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll open up to questions. We got 6 minutes. Okay, good. So, and if anybody has any questions, you write it in the chat because we're coming to the end. And that is, you got to keep the faith. One of the things that successful agents have, one of the habits they have is they keep the faith, they stay focused. Because here's what we know about real estate. Our attitude dictates our altitude. You can have all the right dialogue, you can have all the tips and the techniques and all the 9 yards, but if you wake up and you don't feel like working, you ain't going to work. If you don't feel good about you, what you bring to the table, you ain't going to bring yourself to the table. You got to feel confident. You got to feel good about what you do and have that level of confidence. People ask me, say, Darryl, how do you get your energy? My energy comes from my passion, commitment to making a difference in people's lives. That's where my energy comes from. Usually, Kathrin, because I know you, so that's what gives you your energy, your strong, how you push through your stuff. You help because you're committed to helping people. Our attitude dictates our altitude in our business. We believe, and you got to trust that when you're doing the work that you're doing, just like that farmer analogy that I gave, that the results are going to come. You got to keep the faith. So here's 3 ingredients to guarantee your success the remaining of the year. Number 1 is be passionate about your goals. If you want, one of the things that I don't, do you know this about me, Kathrin? I don't know if you heard me tell this story about me running the New York City Marathon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Do you see that guy in the finish line with the band? Not the guy with the blue hat. Next, he's holding my hands. Do you see me there? Can you tell that's me?
Yeah.
You can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
The pink shirt.
in the pink shirt. That's right. Why pink? Because I was raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Now you'll see that's the New York City Marathon. I ran in 6 hours and 41 minutes, which anybody who will tell you that's horrible time. Kathrin, I actually had people in wheelchairs beat me. Okay, people they were faster than I ran this, but I did it. Here's why I did it, listen, Kathrin. I hate working out. My idea of a good workout is I fill up my bathtub, I pull the plug, and I fight the current. To me, that's a good workout. So I'm not into jogging or running. Some people, they love going to the gym. Forget it, not me. I just can't get into it. But here's why did I do this? Anybody that runs marathons, you can't just wake up one day saying I'm going to run 26.2 miles. It takes months and months of training and days and weeks and blah, blah, blah. I did it, Kathrin, because that pink shirt I was wearing, I was raising money for Leukemia and the Lymphoma Society, because I found out leukemia is the #1 blood disease killer of children up to the age of 16. I am very passionate about anything I can do to help children because I love children. They inspire me. They're the gift to the world. And so I wanted to raise this money. I became the #1 fundraiser in the whole state of New York. In 6 months, I raised $25,000 for this run that I did. But let me tell you, that's not the point. The point is I hate jogging running as much as some agents hate calling for sale by owners. I had that little voice inside my head. Every morning I woke up, Kathrin, it said to me, you're not meant to do this. You don't want to do this. This is uncomfortable. You don't feel like it. It was hard. But every time I focus on my commitment to helping children's lives, that's what got me past the I don't want to. The negative thinking doesn't go away. You have to push through it. And how you push through it is through your commitment, whatever you're committed to. Am I right, Kathrin?
Exactly. You need to find something that drives you. And I feel the most successful agents are not the ones with the biggest database, not the ones that are the best cold callers. They are the people that get hit the hardest and get back up.
Exactly. And that's and it's not just positive. It's not positive mental attitude saying, I'm going to. You have to be committed to something. Like anybody who's a parent, you know what I'm talking about. Some of us will do things we wouldn't do ourselves, but we do it for our kids. That kind of passion, that kind of commitment. And here's the other thing. It's important you have people cheering you on. Like I talked about you, Kathrin, how you inspired our other power agents. I heard about this, but I didn't realize it. When I was running in the New York City, all the cheering on the side of the road, people saying, Darryl, you can do this. That was inspiring to people when you have people who care about your success. They were singing on the side of the road. They had music and drums on the side of the road. The bands just inspiring, rooting you on. Some of us need that in our lives. We need people who believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves. My favorite was these ladies. This one here at the top, you've got stamina, call me. I hear there's free beer at the finish line. Hurry up. I love these ladies. They were funny. I laughed at. Anyway, so how do you increase your energy? You got to have, how you increase your energy is you got to have passion. How you have passion is you got to love what you're doing. Some of you got to fall back in love with real estate. So what you should do is write down why are you in this business? What are you committed to? What do you love about it? And how you can help others. So write that why I love real estate list. Here's a second thing is have that support structure, which I just said. That's key, having that support structure in your life. Okay, I'm done. Those are the 7 things that we covered. How do we do, Kathrin?
You got 3 ingredients, but only 2.
Oh, you're right. All right, let me go through. I was cutting short, Julie. Thank you.
I know, but it said 3.
You're right. It said 3. I got to edit that and says ingredients. Support structure. Let me go to the third one. Let me just jump to the support. So these are benefits because it's at 3 o'clock. So I've got to end it. But here, let me go to the third one, which is motivational devices. That's important. So I'm glad you didn't stop me, Julie. You know, as you know, Kathrin, there's so many charts and motivational devices we give power agents. And I just love all these. Here's a few just to point out to people, you know, making a list of what are all the activities you can do to prospect, right? And then put, like we created this chart, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you play a game with yourself. Say, all right, what am I going to do? What's today? What is today? Today's Wednesday. Let me at least do 1 or 2 of these items. So that you play a game as you fill it out. You want to get as many checks on there as possible. Focusing on getting dots. Every time you get a listing, put a dot up on the dot board. You get a listing that sells, or that's another way to gamify. It's called gamification. Gamify your business. Have fun. I want to make sure we have times for questions from people. Also, you know, think about if you had one thing to do each day, what could you do? This is what we just gave the power agents in June. This is my favorite. Well, I'm just going to zero in on this really quick because our time has come. And that is, sometimes we feel very busy during the week. We do a lot of work. I'm sure you feel this way, Kathrin, too. I know I do. Like you do a lot of work. And then at the end of the week, you're like, what did I accomplish? I know I worked. I know I accomplished stuff, but I don't feel it because I was so busy. And so what I recommend, I do this myself as well. Of all the stuff I got to do on my to-do list, what are the 3 things that will bring me to my next level in my life? I got to make sure no matter what I do, these are the 3 I got to make sure I get done. And I find that has helped me in maintaining a positive mental attitude. So to summarize, know your worth, focus on building a business, know how to generate now business, plant those seeds for future business, use those stories, metaphors, analogies, whenever you can, think about it, put deals together, and keep the focus, stay focused, keep the faith. Okay, that's it now. Now I'm done.
Yay.
Yay!
It was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions? I know somebody raised their hand earlier, but we wanted to put the questions in the end. I think it was someone called, let me just go through the chat, Janine, maybe?
While she's looking, if anybody else has a question, Julie, if you see a question, just write it in the text there in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. You know, if you need a coaching question, like, you know, you're struggling on something you want help with. If not, you know.
And also at that link, they can ask any questions after if they'd like as well. If they've got questions about how to get their links or how to download the things you were talking about today.
Yeah,
So
listen, if anybody becomes a power agent, what just happened here? Okay. Can you still see my screen?
We can.
You can?
We can.
So if you guys go to, if anybody has questions after this, if you go to Darryl Speaks, we have a great chat. My team is awesome. So you can just write a question there and it's actually answered by real human beings. It's not a bot. I hate those bots. You know, bots are like,
we have pulses.
yeah, we have pulses. The bots are like digital voice menu hell. Like I want to talk to someone. I just hit 0 when I call the voice, keep hitting 0. And that's what I do. All right. Any questions that you found, Kathrin?
No, a lot of people had questions to what we talked about in the beginning about the commission. And I think I answered it pretty much in the chat. I think it's very important if you're the buyers. I mean, this is totally off topic, but I think it's very important if you're the buyer's agent to not complain about what is being offered to you, but to make it work for you. Just put your buyers on a buyer's agreement. And I make it work in a way that the seller still pay the difference and pay me. So I make my 3%. So, you know, complaining is not going to help you when.
Whoop, I lost you, Kathrin. You're in the mountain. Okay, go ahead. Your signal broke up there for a minute. You got frozen.
Sorry.
It's all right. So
Sorry,
you were saying, you're back, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I say when somebody offers a low buyer's agent commission, I never complain. I just think good for them. And I see how I can make it work on my side. So, you know, a lot of people are like cursing out the listing agents over what they're doing, but that is none of your business. So listing agents, they got the listing, they have the power. So just see how you can make the buyer's side work for you. And it has worked for me. I always get my 3%. So, just see it with a positive attitude.
Yeah, I misspoke when I said it'd be your choice not to show a listing because I got carried away with myself. So I'm glad you picked up on that. But when you see a listing, and if this listing agent says, "Hey, if you want to sell this listing, I'm going to pay you 2%." Now, if you want 3%, then get the other percent from the buyer, built it into the price of the contract. So you still have it built into the contract and you still get paid the 3%. So no one's out of pocket that extra 1%, but you don't complain to the listing agent. They already decided what they're willing to pay you. And there it is.
And the way I do it is, at my buyer's consultation, I'm very clear with the buyers and I tell them, look, the value that I will offer you, I cannot work at a discount. And there is some listing agents that offer a discount. And I just want you to know that we will put a clause in the contract that you will get a concession from the seller at closing, and that will go towards my commission. And they are all okay with it.
Yes, there should be, like, this is one of the webinars that we did on the buyer one. And this is why when you sit down, and I'm going to teach something there. See, these are sample buyer agency agreements, and we go through. This is what you should be having the buyers understand, how you get paid and how you're willing to work. But here's the point that I'm going to now teach based on what you just said, Kathrin. Every agent should have 3 structured conversations, not scripts, structured, meaning you still talk from your heart, but it's a beginning, a middle, and an end. One is the listing appointment. You don't just wing it. You go in and you sit down and you explain beginning, middle, end, so they hire you. The second one is presenting your offers. You just don't drop the number down. You got to bring the homeowner up to the point to hear your offer in a particular way. That's planned presentation number 2. The third structured conversation is when you meet a buyer for the first time. And when you meet a buyer for the first time, your object is to get them to hire you to be their agent. And there's a structure to that. So anyway, glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely. It's all about setting expectations.
Exactly. Here's how I work. Here's what you can expect from me. This is what I need from you. Bop, bop, bop. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We do, but I believe we're out of time according to.
Okay, we're out of time. Okay, and plus Kathrin, she probably has something to sell or buy or list.
Not today. I'm on vacation, but Darryl, thank you so much for your time. You were amazing as always. Everybody, check out his program. I know it's been beneficial for me. I'm using all of his slides and little things that he offers on his website, and go check it out because Darryl is the man.
Thank you, Kathrin. Thank you, everybody. Last thing I'm going to say, we'll sign out. Don't forget, you don't just listen to sell real estate. You help people, bring them to their next level in life. So the more people you help, the more money you get. The money is a gauge as to how many lives you touch and help. So go help a lot of families and the money will follow. Kathrin, God bless you for all that you do. And you know what? One last thing. There's another group of people that doesn't get acknowledged enough. That's Sandra and Jake and the rest of the team behind the curtains at Lab Code Agents, man. Without those people behind the curtains, this thing wouldn't be happening. So we love you guys. All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, hon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.